Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to hopefully change your life. This year is sponsored by Chana Miriam Yontov and Lil Nishmas Rav Avram Dov ben Rabbi Yeshua Zal. Shalom Shalom Aliyah, and all the brachas should come with sponsoring the learning of Torah. Okay, to continue what we were talking about yesterday, that the discussion we're having in Bosi Lagani, the end of Parak Aleph, we're going to finish it today very, probably do even more. Is that the shaila is when we say ikish shchina b'tachteinim, so what does it mean ikish shchina? Does it mean the light of Hashem as it is condensed through the Seder Yishtalshalus when it comes to Malchus of Atzilus, and it's the sauce for the or really as it is Keser to Bria, and that's what when we say ikish shchina b'tachteinim, that's what we mean. That level of Elikus was in this physical world, or do we mean as it is in the Kav, which is like the source of the whole Seder Yishtalshalus, or do we mean it's before the Tzimtzum, which is before the general Tzimtzum, or the first Tzimtzum, which was the one that sort of made a space for the possibility that one day there'll exist something outside of godliness. Because when there was a Tzimtzum, there was nothing else but God. It was only just godliness. He made a space void that there's a possibility that he could create things that have this ultimately feeling of separateness and separate existence. And so ultimately that's sort of we conclude, and that's what we conclude today, that now when we say the ikish shchina b'tachteinim, that Bosi Lagani, when I came to my garden, that who came to the garden? Ikish shchina, as I explained, ikish shchina b'tachteinim, I saw that the main shchina was down below. What's the main shchina that we're talking about? Talking about ikish shchina is the of Hashem, the light of Hashem, as it is even before the Tzimtzum. So if you appreciate what that means, like if you know, and that's something to understand, to think about that. That when Hashem wants to be in this world, and he was in this world, and we're going to bring him down to even greater degrees than what was before, we're talking about what level of godliness are we referring to? And we're saying we're referring to the highest of levels. Page in this book, we'll go from page 30. We ain't talking about. So we're not saying yesterday. There's three levels. There's etzem gilur, kamei shula atzma, and gilur ashayach elamais. There's the essence of the light itself, as or like we explained in the marshal of the teacher as he understands information, as he thinks of an idea. Then there's the teacher as it is, as it reveals to himself, and it is as he reveals explains to others. Meaning there's a way that he explains the idea so you understand it very well, and then there's a way that he explains it to someone else to understand it. Yeah, and that lowest level, as he explains to someone else, is sort of this level of mamali. That would be the way the teacher interacts with the student, which is the idea of how God interacts with this world. When he creates the world and makes this world, and that's how it is. Yeah. If not for that to happen, you have to have a tzimtzum, yeah. But when we're talking about the ikish shchina, we're talking about as it was before it came down, before that tzimtzum, as meaning as the teacher is understanding for themselves before they even have a thought of this world. Meaning, when we're talking about ikish shchina b'tachteinim, talking about God himself, not the way that he manifests in a way of giving time to low worlds or creating a world or anything like this. The way it is way above all that, above Atzilus, above Malchus of Atzilus, above the light of the Kav, innermost dimensions of the Shekhinah. Yeah. And why are we saying it's that's what the Shekhinah is? And Islabish. Because the light that's included in the world, it comes in a very chain-like, very orderly way. Whereas above, it more revealed. As it comes down, it detracts, meaning in the Elam of Atzilus, the world of Atzilus, it's a world, but it's all godliness. And then Bria, it's a world that has got to be creation, to feel itself as a created being, meaning it's more of a feeling of separation from godliness. until you come to our physical world, with the lowest, and we feel the most distant from God. That's a descent. Lamaila and above may be Giliosa, and above it reveals itself more. V'chol mash nimshach umishtalshal mismart and the more it goes down, the more diminished it is. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to say that's where the light's going to be revealed. V'chol mash nimshach mishtalshal mismart. So too in the whole general Seder Ishtalshus. Even though what was revealed below was before the sin of Adam and Chava is a very high level. It was the light of godliness as it is revealed. But ultimately, and this is a theme that's we're going to express itself later on, is that ultimately the fact that the light that's coming here into this physical world of godliness is being revealed, the Ikashim Tachtein, the Divat Tachtein has to be with the highest of levels. It's not like it can't be a descent, it has to be an ascent. Can't say that Hashem created this whole world, made this whole thing, that he wants to come here, but it's going to be diminished. It's going to be a lower level that we're receiving here. Then what's the point? The high levels can be somewhere else. So we'll just go back to the high level. Why come to the low level? So we ultimately have to say it's because of that. Specifically down here is the highest of revelation, and that's what he's saying. Before Cheta, even before Chet Eitz Hadas, the light that was revealed in this world is not as great, not as revealed as it was in the high world. And like it says, he took his right hand, which is more of a gilui, and a bar Shemaim created the heavens, not the smerlei. He took his left hand, Hashem did, and a bar Haaretz created the earth. And the left is the gvura, is holding back, restrained less. So we see clearly that the heavens got more and we got less. So therefore, we must be saying that kavana is the Eresh Shalom, and that's all the light of godliness as it is tailored, like the teacher teaching it to his student, tailoring it so the student can understand. So clearly, when the teacher is trying to teach it in a way the kid can understand, it's diminished. The further we go, the more, in case of the world, the more physical the world, the less light we're getting. Even by the time of before the sin, where godliness was very revealed, literally the level of godliness revealed in Seder Ishtalshus, in the way of Seder Ishtalshus, like the teacher teaching to his students, is going to be on a lower level than it is as it is in Atzilus. So what are we talking about? The Ikesh Shechina b'tachtenim. What's the Ikesh Shechina? El Kavana ala Ersh l'mayla me'elam. It's talking about the light that's above the worlds, that transcends the worlds. Ikesh Shechina. That's the Ikesh Shechina. So in essence, what we're saying is that, and the main point the Rebbe is bringing out here, that when we said the Ikesh Shechina b'tachtenim Haisa, the main Shechina was below. What's the main Shechina? We're talking about its light way above the whole Seder of Shtalshus, way above the creation, way above the Kav, way above the Tzimtzum. It's before the Tzimtzum Rishon, and that's what we're saying. That and what us in the seventh generation are going to achieve, and are achieving, is bringing that into a greater degree down below than what it was back then. And that's a huge idea. It's like being able to tap. It's like taking that kid that's 5 years old, being able to tap into the teacher to how to get the teacher to teach the depth of the teacher's understanding, versus a Lolo that teacher's teaching, simple maths and simple, things to the kid, which is like such a little simple kid. A teacher manages to arouse and to produce within the teacher, that the teacher gives him everything. Let's see Eis Beis. Now we're going to discuss more what it means. Ikesh Shechina b'tachtenim. V'hinei Zed the Ikesh Shechina b'tachtenim Haisa. This that we say the Ikesh Shechina was below. Mevar me'amidrash the tachtenim koyal el mazay gashi. So what does it mean? The Ikesh Shechina b'tachtenim. The main Shechina was tachtenim below. It means below in our physical world. But you could say it means it's spiritual. What does it mean tachtenim? We already know because we've learned so much chassidus, and then it became like this fundamental thing. But essentially, in the discussion, what does it mean tachtenim? I mean, there's different options. Like it's explained that through the sin of the Chedetz Adas Nisalka Shechina Me'aretz Rakia, that through the sin you took the Shechina that was in the world and you brought it up into the heavens. Whereas and then after the 2,000 years of Galus, or not Galus, 2,000 years of the world being the way it was, and the Shechina going away, till came Avram in 1948 to the creation of the world, and he started to reveal the Kus, started bringing it down all the way to Moshe. That caused Hashem to come back down into this physical world. The revelation of Elikus, this Iker Shechina, but not to the same extent as what we're going to do. The Iker Hasiluk Shenas Achet Etzadas. The Rebbe is pointing out something very, very fundamental here, and it's going to explain it in the negative and later on in the positive, that the main Avera is leaving this physical world. The Iker Chet was the 7 sins that brought it away, and then the 7 tzaddikim that brought it back down. So the main Chet is the first one. That's sort of not just the fact that it's the first, but it's because of what it does. That's what he's going to explain. The main siluk, the main withdrawal of the divine presence is specifically in Chet Etzadas. Because just like in sin, just like in general, in the idea of the sin, the main is the beginning, is the first one. When Chet Etzadas, that caused, that was the preempt, and that was the sort of the source for all the other sins. And it was this cause, and it was the source of it. It's like the first person that does the thing, the mistake, he opens up the channel for everyone else to go do it. And so too with the sin itself. Not just the fact that it's the first, but what it is accomplished, what it achieves through sinning. In the Ikar Siluk, the main removal of godliness is specifically through this physical world. That it's this siluk, that it's removing it from this physical world is the main issue. It doesn't really matter in relative terms that the Shechina gets removed through a sin from the second level to the third level, and from the third level to the fourth level. The main issue is this one, when it leaves this physical world. Just like the main Shechina was specifically in this physical world, just like the main Shechina was here, the main removal of the Shechina is here. Which is done through that first sin of Chet Etzadas. That caused the biggest downfall, that the Shechina left this physical world. This is also the reason in the Pidikos Maimon, when he talks about all these sins, he doesn't join together the Chet Etzadas in Achatayim to Kain ve'Enesh. He doesn't join together the sin of Chet Etzadas and the sin of Kain ve'Enesh. He makes like a separation between them. And he considers the sin of Chet Etzadas within itself. And the Rebbe is analyzing the Pidikos Maimon, and he's saying the reason why the Pidikos Rebbe is separating one sin from the next, the first sin next to in comparison to the rest, is because that first sin of Chet Etzadas is the biggest problem, is the biggest issue, has the biggest of negative effects. The fee because by Kain ve'Enesh, when they made a mistake, it goes from one level to the next. But Chet Etzadas, in that first sin of Adam and Chava, that it got removed from this physical world to the heavens. Besides the fact that you're going out of this physical world, so you can say the reason why it's the worst sin because this is negate to us. We had a Gilul Likus, and now we lost the Gilul Likus with a mistake. You know, look what they did. They ruined it for all of us. He's saying that's also true. That's not the only issue. The main removal, the main withdrawal is this one, is that first one. That's the issue. The issue is not just the fact that because of us we lose it, but it's also the fact that the main removal of the Likus was when it left this physical world. And he's going to explain it also later on in the positive, that we bring it down into this physical world. That's the ikar bringing down. He says, and then the 7 tzaddikim stood, and they brought it down below. Avram Zacha, Avram merited the Hirid Es Hashchina Merakia Ashvil Shishi. Avram was merited. He merited to be able to bring it down from the 7th to the 6th. The whole continuation, and then he continues. If you and he doesn't explain each level, but he bekatsim doesn't show. Then he says Ad Ki Moshe Shehu Shavivin till Moshe, that is the 7th. The Chol Shavivin Chavivin, and he puts in brackets all the 7th are cherished. But you read it Lamatabar, go down into the physical world, and that we're going to discuss what the implications of being the 7th mean, which is a very negate to us and also the Rebbe, and it's going to get exciting. To be continued tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.